first.
Hi, I'm Claire Hartley. I'm a service design consultant with the Service Design Academy.
And hi everybody, good afternoon, my name is Chris Muir and I'm a service design consultant also with the Service Design Academy. So we will get started today and we're just going to obviously share a little bit of background about who the company that we work for, the organisation that we work for. We'll give you a little bit of our background stories as well. We're going to share a couple of slides. It's going to definitely not be death by PowerPoint. I think there's a grand total of 10, 11 slides, Claire. Yeah, there's not that many.
So 15.
15 slides, there we go. So definitely not death by PowerPoint. So thank you for joining today, and just to give you a little bit of background, so we both work at the Service Design Academy. The Service Design Academy was established in 2017 and it is part of the Dundee and Angus College setup within the organisation. So, you know, we are quite a small team. We're a team of, at the moment, we've got 4 consultants. Obviously, Claire and I are two of that small team. We've got a service design manager, and we've got some administrative staff as well that help us out. With regards to what we do, we're kind of a 3-pronged approach to the business that we're involved in. Unfortunately, there's our faces there, particularly my one. Nobody wants to see my face. So far, in the last couple of years, we've done over 60 live workshops. We've reached out and touched 1,400 people, and we've worked with 156 organisations. And those numbers continually grow all the time. During lockdown, for example, we're now up towards over 30 seminars or sessions that we've ran. Working on live pieces of work, live projects, and obviously, we can be able to share some of these with you throughout the time with you. We've also got accreditation through the Service Design Network, which is a global organisation, and we were actually fortunate enough at the Service Design Academy to become the first officially recognised for accredited organisation within the whole world, and we've got that. So we've got to have a certain standard of work. The qualification that we offer needs to meet certain ratifications, and obviously what we offer and who we work with and our content and our design was all approved and ratified, and we've obviously got registration that you can see on the screen now till the 15th of June 2022. Some of the organisations that we've worked with, some of them will be familiar, some well-known ones, some not so well-known ones, but we do work across all 3 sectors, so the public sector, local councils, local authorities. We work with private businesses as well, and we've also worked with the third sector, and we've got students right now, for example, from different businesses like Shelter. We've had people in the past from Barnardo's and some of these charitable organisations come along and do our qualification that we do as well. So what is service design? What is your understanding of service design? Again, I'm going to keep this quite short and sweet, but service design is the design of services, and services are things that help people to do something. And that is from way down. Way down is very well known within the service design community in the UK. The best image we feel that best sums up what is service design is the one on the screen right now. So, you know, mum and dad go out and they're going to buy a mobile to put on their kid's cot, and they think, oh, this is great, look at the baby interacting with it. What is the baby actually looking at? Well, the baby is looking at some stuffed bums, you know, not that interactive, really not that good from the baby's perspective, but you know, who are we buying that product for? Are we buying that product for mum and dad, or are we buying that product for the baby? So, you know, how would that product be better designed with users at the heart? You know, so that image probably best encapsulates what service design is. And it's about putting your users at the heart right at the very, very start of the design process. The Design Council's Double Diamond is basically the approach that we use at the Service Design Academy. You can see the 4 Ds along the bottom of the screen there. And whilst, you know, you're working through these 2 double diamonds, it's not a linear process. It's a very much an iterative process where you go back on yourself and you retest, and you design, you come up with more ideas. But right at the very, very start of the process is called the discovery phase, and that's the first D. And we're all about gathering insights, gathering customer, carrying out user research, and getting as much data as possible, because once you've got all that data, you can then start to drill down and find out what the problem is. A lot of people just assume they know what the problem is before carrying out this really, really important stage of doing a lot of discovery work. Then once you've done all that good work, you get into the second diamond, and that's where you come up with lots of ideas and you go through to prototyping and testing. And this is the double diamond, and this is what we work with companies through. We take them through this journey to make better decisions to improve the overall product or the service that they provide for their customers. Again, making customers more customer-centric at the end of the day. So, sharing our experience, I'll pass you over to Claire, and Claire could let you know about her journey.
Cool, thank you, Chris. So I'm Claire. I joined the Service Design Academy during lockdown, so that would have been in May. So I onboarded remotely after, I'm only 2 years after graduation. So I graduated from Duncan of Jordanson College of Art and Design here in Dundee, in communication design, specialising in illustration. So that was in 2018. And when I was, thinking of applying to university, I didn't really know the pathway that I wanted to take. I just knew I was interested in art and design. So I started university on a general foundation course, and there I was allowed to experiment and figure out my pathway. So that's how I ended up in illustration. But it was only through doing a load of extracurricular activities that I actually found out about the existence of service design. So some of these extracurriculars that I was involved in were to do with like entrepreneurial topics, and I went to a study abroad leaders course, which was in Malaysia, and that focused on leadership and cultural intelligence and how that can influence your style of leadership. Other than that, I did a elevator challenge with Elevator UK, and that was all about startup businesses. So as I went through these different experiences, I kind of realised that I was interested in business as well, which led me on to finding out about the Global Service Jam operation that happens across the world. So a team of students and I got involved in this, and we decided to set up a Global Service Jam Dundee for that year, which was 2017. And a Global Service Jam is basically a weekend, and a load of people come to it with interest in service design, and they get a chance to collaborate, work together, and design new services based around a mystery theme, which is different every year. So that was a fantastic experience for me, and out of that I got to meet a load of different people, and I really got to sort of expand my network around the area of service design. And from that I actually ended up getting an internship with a service design organisation called Open Change in Dundee. So again, I was building my skills alongside my course in university, and I was a busy bee. So after third year, which would be my second last year at university, I decided that I needed to focus on finishing my degree. But also I couldn't help myself. So I joined the pioneering cohort for the Service Design Academy, which was basically a test run, the first ever one of the course that we now deliver. So with that, I got to meet again more people, keep my foot in the door of service design while still going through my degree. And after I graduated, I actually, I still wasn't ready to take that step into working in service design professionally. So I ran for an election at my students' union, ended up becoming Vice President of Communications and Campaigns there. So again, just building up the skill set. After that, I was fortunate enough to get a job with V&A Dundee as a digital producer for a year before eventually joining the Service Design Academy as a consultant just in May there during the pandemic, which was very, very fortunate indeed. So that's the story of my background and how I didn't necessarily have one pathway set out, and it was only through trying a load of different things that I was able to sort of come to the place where I am just now. And of course, that's how I met Chris. So Chris, do you want to tell us a bit about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background was 15 years with the local authority, with Dundee City Council. Before I went to join the council, I studied at Aberdeen University, and I did behavioural science. I've always had a big keen human behaviour and human interactions, and the psychology and the sociology aspect of behavioural science gave me that, you know, that opportunity to just to study something that I was passionate about. I went into the local authority in 2004, and I worked in the area of community safety for a period of 9 years. And then I jumped across, I love training and development side of things, and I jumped across to organisational development within HR after 9 years. And then my last 6 years in the local authority was in that role of organisational development, focusing on things like customer service, conflict management, leadership and management courses, and that obviously gave me great variety. Very much like Claire though, back in 2017, I went along to the Gov Jam in the city of Dundee. It was ran over 3 days, and it was hook, line and sinker for me. Something just clicked with regards to my love and passion of service design. I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's another methodology or another approach out there that if you were starting your own business or you're in an organisation, I think service design is the only way ahead. It's a mindset, it's an approach that you take, and it's about designing with, not for. You know, and the importance of that when we're working with people in any front-facing or any organisation, it's about designing with, not for. So the co-design aspect, the co-production aspect, working together in collaborative ways to come up with solutions to problems, and then, you know, driving them forward, testing them, and then coming to the forefront. So this actual image that Claire's put up, which I thank her for, is in Helsinki, and this was back in 2018. We were fortunate enough to go to Helsinki for 8 days. What did we learn? We learned so much. Finland as a country, I think, it's just been voted the second happiest country in the world, well, for the second year running. They're also number one in the world for education. Yet, you know, their pupils and their young people only go to school for about 20 hours a week in Finland. You know, their education system compared to what it is in the UK is completely flipped. They look at things like the importance of relationships, of having fun and being creative at school. You know, it's not about doing tests. So, you know, going out there as a city as well, they've also been in service design for about 10 years. So they do get a lot of things absolutely right because they involve their citizens in the process of service design. So they're so empowered and they're so engaged in the city of Helsinki that residents get, you know, €4.5 million every single year to decide how they what they want it to be spent on. So, for example, you know, if the pavements in the background were cracked and there was enough citizens involved, and there is enough citizens involved because we saw the figures when we're out there. They'll decide where this €4.5 million of the public purse every single year and how that's spent in the city. So it's quite empowering for the citizens of that city because, you know, they've got a big say on how the public purse is being spent, and they're coming up with solutions to the problems that they face in the city as well. So, you know, that was, you know, another example of just learning from a country that's doing things really well. And then coming back, and then, you know, we're kind of on a mission within the Service Design Academy to not to become to become more like Finland, but, you know, look at how we can do things a lot better and learn from all these countries around the world who do get a lot of things right as well, but also put our spin on it at the same time as well. So it's about growing an appreciation, educating, nudging people into the world of service design and where all that lies. Some of the work that we're working on at the moment, we'll be working with some secondary schools, and one of the best projects that I can share with you is the Arbroath Academy. We have got a Medium account, and we put a lot of blogs of the work that we're involved in on there. In Arbroath Academy was a piece of work that we got involved in because they're looking at the curriculum of the future. A certain percent of their pupils don't go into further education. They actually just leave high school and go straight into jobs. So the current curriculum wasn't fit for purpose because there was, a high percentage of these people that it wasn't fit for. So we looked to shake that up. We got together from S2 to S6. So you're looking at 13 to 17-year-olds. We got a big collection of students in the room. And they started looking at tearing up the current curriculum, getting away from that 50-minute period mindset and looking at that blank canvas and what might that look like, which the young people actually struggled with. Then we pulled all the teachers into the room, and what did they want? What would they like to teach in the school? What did they want to work on? What were some of the problems and issues for them? And then we came together in a co-design event. So that was young people and teachers sitting around the table, designing what they wanted to get out of it. And it wasn't just a throwaway event, a tokenistic experience, because there was real tangible outcomes that came out of this piece of work. So for example, up until COVID, in March this year, obviously lockdown happened, but they had suspended the curriculum for the entire school. So what was going to happen for that Monday to Friday that week? There was no traditional periods. There was no maths, English. Here's your subjects. Here's what you must attend. They suspended the entire curriculum, and all they were doing, and this was because it was important to teachers, and it was very, very important to young people, that they wanted to work on relationship building. There was a disconnect between the young people in the school, feeling like they didn't know who their teachers were, and the teachers didn't feel like they could reach out because they didn't really know the young people very well. So they were going to do a whole week of activities, basically on building relationships and making bonds, and fostering good relationships to then help them forward in their school life. And going forward. So that was going to be happening, and I'm sure once we get into it's still going to happen. We've got assurances from the head teacher that is still going to happen, and be a real thing going forward, because the teachers, their eyes were opened when the young people touched on how important it was to make relationships. They want to leave school with good people skills and not just have the the 5 A's. They want to have the interpersonal skills, which are really, really important in life going forward as well. So, Claire, do you want to talk about what the slide that you've put up there?
Yeah, so as we were speaking about, getting involved in different things whilst you're working out what your interests are and going forward in life, we would invite everybody listening or watching to check out the EduJam. The EduJam is, as I mentioned before, a service design jam focused on education. So this is going to be a remote event where educators, students, young people, designers, and those just with an interest in changing how the education system currently is in any capacity can join. It's going to be a collaborative event. We're going to have different exhibitors speaking about different aspects of change within education, and it's all about bringing people together, getting ideas, so that we can make real change happen for the benefit of young people in the education system. So this is going to be powered by Service Design and Education, which was co-founded by one of our consultants, Katie Muir, at Service Design Academy, and also with the Service Design Academy. And it was overall inspired by the Global Jams family. So we're really excited about it. It's in a few weeks' time. We'd really encourage you to check it out on these links. You can follow us at SDA Scott, at EduJam UK, and at SD in Education. It's a real opportunity to get involved in something that is so inspiring Jam events are the reason that Chris and I are now doing what we're doing in our careers. So we couldn't put more emphasis on how great these events are. And not just for you personally, but also for, the greater good of the system or the service or education that you want to change as well. So could not recommend it any more.
Yeah, come along. And there's no, I mean, it's over 3 days, but there's no commitment there to, you must attend X amount of hours. The reason it's over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can just dip in and out of it. You can go along. There'll be a full program that's available. You can see what really takes your curiosity. Some of these things, just be lightning talks, 15, 20 minutes, similar to the setup that Charlie's got here. Just pop in and out as you feel. No pressure. You don't have to contribute. It might just be listen, but we certainly will welcome your participation at the same time. You'll have your own story to tell from an educational perspective. So what would you like? What changes would you recommend? What would you like to? How could we use design to influence the greater good going forward as well? So absolutely, like Claire said, really, really appreciate you joining up, signing up, following us, and getting involved.
Yeah. And one of the things we always say to our students and our delegates is that you're the expert of your own story. So if you're coming to along to the EduJam, any input that you have is totally valid because that's your experience and that's your lived experience, and lived experiences and sharing those are the way that we make things change going forward. So anything that everyone has to say is all super important to that. And also believe that Charlie is going to be having his own little talk. So definitely come along even just for that.
Yep. Okay, Charlie, I think that's us. It was pretty much on the 20-minute mark. Hopefully that's been useful. If there's any questions now.
Yeah, thank you very much for speaking up. We've got a few questions. So just in general, what both sparked your interest in service design?
Should I go first, Chris?
Yeah, go for it, Claire.
Yeah. So what sparked my interest? As I said, I was interested in design. I was studying design, but the type of design that I was studying in illustration at the time, I wasn't really getting out of that a sense of being able to change things for people, and that's the thing that I was really interested in, and it was the people aspect of design that I really wanted to go into, and I hadn't heard of service design before because it hadn't come up in the pathway that I had chosen when I was at art school. So the idea of a global service jam was really exciting to me. It was totally new, so it was actually quite scary at first because at the time I was thinking, oh, I don't know much about this, and how am I going to organise something like this when I've not got much experience? But I learned by doing it, and I'm so glad that I did, because the global service jam events are so high energy, they're so inspiring. The structure of them, it's a rapid pace, and it gets you so energized. And I don't think I had felt so excited about something before that I really, really wanted to be involved in, because I knew at the end of it there was all these groups getting up and presenting at the end of this 48 hours real ideas that they had came up with that would really make a difference to the people who use them. And that all came out of just a random theme. So we followed the process of design thinking, and it really ends in real results. So that's what drew me to it. It's really the idea of being able to use this process to make a tangible change to people's lives, which really benefits their lives as well. So that's what it is for me. And it's also this light bulb moment that people get when they sort of start to understand service design, and it's like, oh, I never thought about it that way before. It never occurred to me to do things in this way, and this really works. So I think it's a bit of that for me as well. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, quite similar. I mean, when it was first introduced to me, I'll be honest, for 2.5 days I didn't know what was going on. I've not got a traditional design background. I was just going with the flow. I just threw myself into it, Charlie, and it was, we were doing all these activities, we were doing all these exercises. A desk is a dangerous place to view the world. That was one of the quotes that we used from John McCarr. And it's about getting out into the wild, getting out into the street, talking to people. You make lots of assumptions in offices and sitting behind desks. So if you want to know the truth to something, you want to understand why people are doing a certain thing, you need to get out there and speak to people. So, you know, that combined with going out there, carrying out some user research, and just hearing, you know, gathering insights, and then using that data going forward to then influence the rest of your decision making after that. You just started to see that was the only way ahead, and I couldn't see for the life of me any other approach to take. You know, you need to put your customers or your users at the heart of everything that you do. And once you start watching people go through that process, because, you know, people think, oh, we're at college, so we train people in service design. Do we? Heck, you know, we're here to facilitate people on a journey. So we're just nudging people gently along the way. They're creating their own experience, their own understanding of service design, and where it sits within, you know, their life, their company, their organisation that they operate in. And you see people from an engagement perspective. You know, I've had 6 years in training and development prior to this, but you see people really take ownership of the work that they're involved in. And that comes back to, you know, something that I said near the start of, you know, people would much rather like take ownership of something they're involved in. People don't like, human beings don't like things getting done to them, you know. So service design doesn't do that. Service design allows people to take ownership and control and make the decisions going forward to the problems they're currently facing. So, you know, for me, that is the only way going forward, and that is why I'm so passionate about service design, and try to just get as many people involved in the process as possible, and to sort of take on that mindset.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Just, we've got about 5 minutes left. Just a quick question for each of you. So, Claire, what was it that you most enjoyed about doing the different sort of extracurricular activities, and sort of what advice would you give students?
I would give students just a simple bit of advice. Do as much as you can that you're interested in, and just because you've chosen a certain pathway, it does not mean that you have to stick to that. I think nowadays there's more of an emphasis on portfolio careers and not being in the same thing for, you know, a huge length of time, and that's totally fine. And if you come across something that you are interested in, just give it a try. Whilst you're in education, there's so many opportunities for different things that you can apply for, different you know, teams and societies and things that you can take part in that you might think as as a hobby, but actually that hobby might come into real fruition and become, you know, the basis of your career going forward. So yeah, that would be my most simple advice, is to just get yourself out there, meet new people by trying new things, and you might just meet the right person that'll take you into something that you really want to do.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. And then just to finish off, Chris, what was it that started your interest in behavioural sciences?
Again, Charlie, it was more of an accident than anything. I did okay at school. I wasn't a top A pupil. I came out with, you know, my 3 hires, and then I wasn't too sure. I knew that I worked with people at that time. I was working in Tesco's. I was shelf stacking. I was also working on a golf course over the summer, carrying golf bags. So I was constantly working with people in that front-facing customer role. So I knew that I wanted to work with people in some shape or form. I didn't know which way at that point, you know. So I thought behavioural science, human behaviour, how humans act in crowds, all these sort of components, the mind of a human, and you know, all the behavioural aspects. So that was kind of, you know, I wasn't too sure. So I kind of just thought, oh well, that is going to fill a void for me at this moment in time, you know, until I figure out what I want to do. And then when I came out of university, it was a case of like, I was considering joining the police force. I'll be honest, that was toying with joining the police, but I went into that community safety side of things just to build up my CV and get a little bit of experience again, working on the front line, working in community groups, working in that sort of special liaison officer type role. But once I started my career with the council, you know, it was a fantastic place to work. I had 15 great years there, but you know, at that point, you still don't really know what you're doing. So all the advice and the wee pointers that Claire has given, I would say totally grab them with both hands, grab the opportunity, get out there, experience as much as you can, and just, you know, just try things. You know, learn by doing, getting out there and just building up that, and get as many flavours as you can and experiences, and see where you're. But main thing, Charlie, you're a third of your life is in work, so don't make any qualms about it. You know, you've got to enjoy it. You've got to be passionate about what you're doing. The other third sleeping, and the other third is awake. So make sure you buy a good mattress. Yeah, because a third of your life is asleep. So invest heavily in a good mattress. But a third of your life's in work, so you've got to get something from it. You've got to enjoy where you work. And I've taken that right through my career. If I'm not happy, then the only person that can do something about it is me. You know,
Yeah.
so you've got to go out there.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I think that's going to draw us to a close here. I'm conscious of time. Thank you so much for both of you giving up your time and speaking about service design and sort of your interest. And if anyone who's watching or is watching this on YouTube's got any other questions, there's a form on our website that you can fill out. So I just want to thank you both again for giving up your time, and I hope everyone found this very useful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.